What's up, Panther Nation? This is Two Fans in the Stands. I'm CJ.
And I'm Tony.
And today we're going to take a look at the Carolina Panthers' new defense under coordinator Ejiro Evero. So they've confirmed that they're going to a 3-4 defense. And we want to take a look at what that defense would look like with just the current players on the roster. And these are the players that we know will be back next year. And this is contract wise. Like they're already inked in for next year. Now, this all could change via free agency or in not free agency, but maybe a player gets let go or traded or whatever.
Yeah,
But we're
free
gonna
agency. Anything happen in free agency?
yeah,
Yeah,
true. But
yeah.
this is just our dissecting of the defense with the players that are on the roster now and that we feel like will be back next year. So let's go ahead
Right.
and take a look at it.
All right, let's do that.
Okay. So Panthers are going from a 4-3 to a 3-4. Three down
Okay.
linemen, you're going to have your nose tackle, defensive tackle, and defensive end. Going to have four linebackers. You're going to have your rush linebacker, two inside linebackers, and your weak side linebacker, and four defensive backs. Okay. Now, with the current roster, nose tackle.
No. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. My
Yeah,
bad.
I'm with you.
So with the current roster, you have a nose tackle. I think the best fit here would be Marquand McCall. Okay, he's quote unquote he's the biggest of the bunch, but he did show flashes last season, and we talked about this earlier. If he can make sure that he gets his body in shape, gets his what's the word I'm looking for?
Get
Get
stronger in his lower half.
stronger in his lower half, and he's able to play an entire game. That's what I mean to
Right.
say.
Get his
You know,
condition up. His conditioning.
conditioning. Thank you. I could
Yeah.
not think of that word to save my neck. But get his conditioning up. He definitely has a chance to possibly nab the starting job. Okay.
Right. I
Derek
agree.
Brown as your other defensive tackle. And I have these players with the red circles around them because I feel like these are positions that we are really going to have to take a look at, either free agency or the draft for an upgrade. And on the defensive line, I got Yatir Gross Matos circle. He's what about 6'4", 6'5", 265. Not going
Right.
to be your what you're looking for size wise as that third defensive lineman. You want that defensive lineman to really be about somewhere close to 300 pounds. Now
Yeah, but
he
I say
he
about
set up,
280, between
yeah,
280 300. Yeah.
he's set up to be a defensive lineman in typical 4-3 defense. Um,
Right.
but we all know what he did last year and lack thereof.
And the
So
year before.
and
Yeah.
and and the year before.
Correct.
So he's the player on the defensive line that I got marked for an upgrade. And I say this because Matt Ioannidis and James Anderson, or Henry Anderson, I'm sorry.
Henry Anderson. Right.
They're both on 1-year contracts. So their contracts are up. So we have to re-sign them, and we don't know if that's a done deal or not, or that's even going to happen. So that's
Do
why
do
they're not on here.
Do you think it's a possibility that one of the two will come back?
To be perfectly honest with you, I kind of hope the Panthers sign both of them.
Yeah, that would be good
You know, with
for depth wise.
yeah, because other than these three that we have on the screen right here, there's really nobody else on the roster that fits that mold that you want for your three down lineman in a 3-4 defense. Everybody else is really too light and ass. So
Well, Bravion Roy could definitely back up Marquand McCall. Now he's on the shorter side. He's short in
okay, yeah,
stature, but he carries about 330, 335. He's short, has short arms, but
yeah,
he can play back a role in my mind to
yeah,
Marquand McCall in the at the nose tackle position.
yeah. Okay, well then he would probably be our only, you know, depth player that we have right now. So if you
Yeah.
bring back Ioannidis and Henry Anderson, that well, one of them will probably be starting in place of Gross Matos in this scheme, in my opinion. I wouldn't
Right.
have Gross Matos starting at the defensive end in this scheme at all. You know, now mind you,
Okay.
he's good with the run, but will he be able to hold up and do all the things that Coach Evero is going to ask of that position? So, you know,
Well, let
we'll
me ask
see.
you this. Let me ask you this question: if they
Hmm.
brought back Matt Ioannidis and he played that 3 or 5 technique defensive tackle, could you see Yetur Gross Matos playing the rush outside linebacker position with his frame?
Uh, Not
No.
really. And only reason I say that is because I don't necessarily think he has the I don't think he can get to the quarterback like that. Like
Mm,
you would want out of a typical rush linebacker. I don't think so. He's
right.
he's not Brian Burns. You know, I think Frankie Louvu would be able to get to the quarterback better than he would. Now, like I said, that's just my opinion. You know,
Right.
I pray to the good Lord that he could prove me wrong.
Maybe
But
maybe it was the scheme that was holding him back these past few years. Maybe he's more of a traditional 3-4 rush outside linebacker defensive end as
yeah,
opposed to a 4-3 with your hand in the dirt defensive end. Maybe this switch would unlock that potential that we've been looking for.
hey, I hope so.
Yeah, me too.
I hope so because if this is another dud of a year for him, hey,
Yeah,
depending on this contract, how many years he got left, because I don't know off the top of my head.
I think this
He gonna
is.
be right.
I believe this is year 3 or year 4. He came in the same year Derek Brown. And Derek Brown was the first round draft pick and Yetur Grossmato was a second round pick.
Okay.
So second round picks only get 4-year contracts. So he would definitely be in the contract year this year.
Yeah, well, hopefully he can step up and show and prove wherever they put him. Now, the one thing I
Right.
did like about what Coach Evero said in his press conference, he's not necessarily going to have a scheme, put people there, and make them adapt to his scheme. He
Right.
said that he's going to mold his scheme around his players, and I'm
Right.
assuming that he's saying he's going to mold a scheme around his players to their strengths and what they do best.
Right.
So
Yeah,
hopefully if
that's what I heard too.
yeah. So, I've always said this about a lot of players. They get to one team and they do great. The scheme fit them. The coaches put them in the best positions to maximize their talents,
Right.
and they kind of get a little bit of the big head, and then you see them go off somewhere else in free agency, and it doesn't work for them at all. But you
Correct.
realize it was more so what they were doing in their previous situation and how the coaches used them, and how they molded them into their scheme to maximize what they do best. So
Right. Right.
and to go back like you were saying, hopefully that happens with Gross Matos, but
Hopefully
we'll
so.
see.
Because
Yeah.
I think he's a really good player. I was excited when we selected him out of in the second round that year out of Penn State. If you
Hmm.
go back and look at his last year at Penn State, I mean he was dominant. He dominated the Big Ten. And for the life of me, I haven't been able to figure out what hasn't
Clicked.
why hasn't that why hasn't that switch been turned on, or that same intensity level that he had in Penn State is that has been missing at Carolina. What is happening that hasn't been unlocked per se? So
Yeah.
hope
Hey,
like I
look.
said.
Hopefully it's the coach, because we hey look, we've definitely had a lot of lot of changes, in the coaching staff. So hopefully it's
Yes, we
coaching.
have. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Hopefully it's
Okay.
coaching.
What we got
Yeah.
next?
I'm gonna move on to the
Who we got?
linebackers.
All right.
Brian Burns. Um, Nothing needs to be said about Brian Burns. I
Right.
think this move to a 3-4 defense actually is going to suit him very, very well. I mean, he's already going to be doing what he already does. He's going to be our rush specialist. Okay. He's going to be coming off the side of the ball, damn near every play, going after the quarterback.
Right.
Um,
Right.
Shaq Thompson, depending on now, there have been some rumors and some talks about his contract, and if he's coming back next year, or the Panthers may cut or trade him or whatever. But
Right.
he's here. He's still on the roster. He still got next year on his contract. Well, this coming up year,
Right.
so he'll be set. He'll probably be a Mike linebacker. I got Brandon Smith circled. Not necessarily because of Brandon Smith. Well, kind of, sort of. If he can stay healthy, I think he would be a good fit for that other inside linebacker spot. But he has to stay healthy. Okay.
Yes, he does. He does have
Um,
to stay healthy.
yeah, now I got Frankie Louvu at the other outside linebacker in this diagram here. I think Frankie Louvu would be good at coming off the other side, especially trying to get to the quarterback. But I don't know if that would be his permanent spot. Um,
Right.
I could see him being an inside linebacker with Shaq Thompson because, one, he could cover. Two, he could potentially swap back and forth between that outside linebacker spot, because one thing that we talked about before we started, he does well. He gets to the quarterback.
And he's not afraid to come downhill neither. That's what I
Yeah,
like about him. And you
exactly.
need that. You need that from a middle linebacker position. You
Mm-hmm.
need a linebacker that's not afraid to come downhill and mix it up with those with those offensive linemen and shoot a
Yeah.
gap and
Mm-hmm.
stick your nose
Yeah.
in your mama's kitchen and see what's going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
good
yeah.
one. I'm
Gotta
have to,
stick your nose in mama's kitchen and find out what's cooking. You feel me?
I'm gonna have to file that one, and I got to use that later. Folder. I like that was pretty good.
Okay,
But
okay.
yeah. Now that might that might be another that should be another position that they look at via free agency or the draft, because our other options of linebacker are Damian Wilson, um, is it Corey Littleton?
Well, technically, Corey Littleton was on a 1-year contract last year, and Damian Wilson. Now, qu- technically, I feel like they are not currently on the roster because their contracts have expired.
Yeah.
So, but real quick, let me ask you this question: Where
Mm-hmm.
would you fit? Where would you fit Amari Barno in this equation?
Oh, outside linebacker where I got Luvu at right now.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I can see that.
Now, the only reason I don't have him there right now is because we got to go through the off season, and they got to go in and evaluate the talent and put them where they want them to be. Because
Right,
Barno didn't get much playing time at all last year, so they're going to have to
that's
go in and
true.
evaluate him, and he may flourish in that position. You never know. I mean, he's definitely built for it. He's what, 6'6", 240,
6'6".
and
He came in last year. He was 6'6", 246,
mm-hmm,
ran a 4.38 40 at the combine.
yeah,
I remember those numbers like it happened yesterday.
mm-hmm. And if he can turn that that speed into a consistent pass rush and getting pressure on the opposing quarterbacks, he might take that role and run with it. So, like
Yeah,
I always say, you never know.
you never know. It's
You know,
always a possibility. All
it's
right.
always a possibility. But yeah, and I move on to our cornerbacks. Got J.C. Horn locked in,
Right.
Xavier Woods locked in, Jeremy Chin. Now I could see them playing Jeremy Chin more in that hybrid role in this defense. And when I say hybrid role, maybe like kind of like a Troy Polamalu in a sense, not comparing him to Troy Polamalu, because he was a beast. But I can see Jeremy Chin dropping down from his from his strong safety spot, and depending on the package, coming
Right.
in blitzing or doing whatever they need him to do.
Jeremy Chin reminds me of Cam Chancellor. Like
Yeah.
he's an in the box hybrid safety slash linebacker. He can cover a tight end
hmm
and some running backs out of the backfield. But what you
Yeah.
don't want to do is have him trying to cover any of these receivers. That
Yes.
his reaction time is not fast enough. I don't think he processes defenses that I don't think he processes offensive schemes
hmm
fast enough to keep up with these receivers in today's
Yeah.
NFL. But now you talking about putting them on a tight end or running
hmm
back, running out of flat or a swing route out of the backfield. I think he
Yeah.
can do that. He has the speed to do that. But if you're counting on him to guard these receivers, you in for a bad day, as we witnessed last year.
Yeah. And all you got to do is go back and look at his film from his rookie year. When they had him down mostly playing kind of like that hybrid linebacker position,
Yeah.
and he made plays.
Yes, he did.
He made a lot of
Countless
plays.
plays. Should
A,
have
a
got
lot of
defensive
plays.
rookie of the year that year. But I
Yeah,
digressed. I
Yeah, I
digressed
mean,
on that one.
or either that, or he should have damn sure been in the conversation for it,
Yeah.
for real, for real. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I do think that this new coaching staff sees the potential, and they will work to put him in the best position for him to be able to make plays with his talents.
Right.
So that that
Right.
that that's why I leave it on Jeremy Chin. Now, my friend,
I'm sorry,
poor
I didn't
poor
mean to start
Dante,
laughing.
my friend, poor Dante Jackson over here in the corner. Now I
Yeah.
have him circled, only because you would now put Dante Jackson in that category as he is injury prone.
Yes.
Okay, I don't think he
Yes.
has played a full season in the last 2 years, so I would definitely consider him injury prone. Okay,
Right.
and as we saw this past season, Dante Jackson goes out, it turns into the J.C. Horn and the C.J. Henderson show, which 50% of that show is excellent. The other 50% needs to be thrown out and never seen from or heard from again.
Throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Exactly. Exactly. So
Yeah.
behind Dante Jackson, we have CJ Henderson and Keith Taylor. All right. So this
Who's
is definitely a position that I think the Panthers should look at in the draft and free agency. And to be perfectly honest with you, I think they should be, most aggressive with this position. And this is just my humble opinion.
with the
We
cornerback
have had
position?
with the cornerback position, because you
Yeah.
see what happens when you have one side of the field that is 90% locked down. Okay,
Hmm.
you know,
And I remember I remember listening to comments during the season, and people were saying, "Oh, they're not throwing the JC Horn because he's locking it down and locking it down." That could have been true, but also, why would you throw JC Horn way when you got Keith Taylor and CJ Henderson on opposite side? I mean,
yeah,
if I was an offensive minded coach, that's the side that's who I would attack. Just
hmm
like I remember Thomas Brown mentioned it in the press conference yesterday. He was like, find the weakness, find the blowfish on defense, and attack that blowfish. I was like, okay, the
yeah,
analogy was crazy, but that makes sense. You want to attack the weakest link. You don't necessarily have to
hmm
go after the strongest, the strongest corner.
play. hmm
Yeah. So
It's funny because I think about the movie The Water Boy, and remember when my man from oh god, I forgot what he played on The Wire, but he was the kicker, and he was going for the onside kick, and he started scanning the field, and he goes, "All right." Who is it? He good look some old boy. He's all shaking. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's my bitch.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
kind of like that. And
Yeah.
that's really the way it was for most of the season. I mean, like you said, you got JC Horn on one side, and you look over the other side, and you see CJ Henderson, you see Keith Taylor. Where
Right.
you going? You going this way. So
Right. Exactly.
yeah, it
Exactly.
if because you remember like when you talked about Cam Chancellor, you know, you remember the Legion of Boom. You know, you
Mm-hmm.
had him, you had Earl
Richard
Thomas,
Sherman.
Richard Sherman, and then I keep forgetting, was it Browning was the other cornerback that started
Yeah.
for a little
Yeah.
while?
Browning.
Yeah,
Yeah. Browning.
yeah.
Yeah. Browning
Some
started a little bit.
Fitterer, Wright, Evero,
Browner.
you know,
Brown. I think it was a Browner.
Browner.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
find us our Browner. You
Yeah.
get what I'm saying? Yeah,
Yeah.
we need a Browner because right now anything behind Dante Jackson is definitely not there. I wouldn't say Dante Jackson was necessarily that right now, but you know, I would much rather have him on the field than anybody behind him. And especially, you know, when these different sub packages come in and you bring in the nickel cornerback, I still want them to add some more pieces because I just don't want CJ Henderson on the field. I'm just go ahead and say that right now. You know, I would
Say it
like it
with
if he
your
was,
chest.
yeah, you know, no disrespect to him, but yeah, I'm just going by his play on the field. I would rather him be on the bench as much as possible.
I can be in agreement with that. I can be
Yeah,
in agreement with that. Yeah.
yeah. So overall, with what we have now, do I believe the Panthers, if you know, if they didn't sign another player, would they be ready to run this defense next year? Hell no. Okay.
Okay.
Absolutely not. This,
Okay.
what you see on the screen right here, I think it's something to build on, but I would not want to start next season with what we see in here. Okay. But free agency, draft, and the coaches being able to bring in who they want to bring in and mold the scheme around them and, you know, put pieces wherever they want them to be. I
Right.
think this definitely has some potential. You know, you
Right.
definitely have some building blocks. You got Brian Burns, you got Derek Brown, Frankie Louvu, J.C. Horn, Jeremy Chin, Shaq Thompson. Now we just got to get the right pieces around them
Got to fill in
and
the
get everything
gaps.
set. Fill in the
Yeah.
gaps, exactly.
Fill in the
Yep,
gaps. Yeah.
yep.
I agree with you. I agree
But yeah,
with
but
you.
this is our take on the Panthers switching to a 3-4 defense with what's currently on the roster now. Now,
Right.
we will come back to this again as free agency starts and as especially after the draft. So, you
Yes.
know, this is kind of a what it looks like, you know, if we were to start next season right now with what we got.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, you got anything else you want to say, Tony?
No, I just want to say that hey, look, the combine is coming up. So we definitely going to keep our ears open and pinned to the TV to find out what's going on with the combine. Free agency
Mm-hmm.
starts, I think, in like 2 or 3 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. So we definitely going to keep coming back to you guys with different content, updating, our situation as free agency happens and when the draft happens. And then, we'll take it week by week, and that's how we're going to approach it.
There you go. There you go. Panther Nation, if you're watching this, you made it this far, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for us. Like, comment, share it to everybody. Bring them on over to Two Fans in the Stands. Like I said last video, we don't claim to be experts on anything, but we're going to talk about everything. So
Already.
already. But Panther Nation, that'll be the end of this video. And as always, keep pounding.